Welcome everyone to the Energy Medicine and Body Wisdom interview series. I'm Alison Palmer and together we are on the path of the awakening soul. So I am super excited. Today I'm speaking with Nicola Amadora. Nicola is a spiritual teacher. She's been a spiritual teacher for 30 years. She's a therapist, a psychologist and a leader. She's also the founder of Living Connection. And today we are going to be talking about healing the heart of relationships. So welcome, Nicola.
Oh, hi, Alison. Thank you for welcoming me into this beautiful summit.
I'm really looking forward to talking about this for many reasons, okay? And I also want to just direct people to read her full bio beneath here, read your full bio. So it's directly here and you can get all the juicy details. And one of the things that I didn't mention is that Nicola also leads special journeys on the Magdalene path here in France, which is where I am. And so it's really exciting. And so hopefully we will get to talk a little bit about that as well, about the meaningfulness of that for our relationships. But let's go to relationships, okay? Because for me, I find this curious that relationships are at the core of our existence. We're human beings, and from the minute we're born and before that, we're in relationships with other people. And yet we find it so difficult. It is the most troublesome area of our life. And we make it so difficult. So I'd love to start there, really, just to understand a little bit about, what's going on? Why do we make it so difficult for ourselves?
I love that question because it's a stunning question, right? When in some ways, when you feel really connected, it's easy to relate. But then something is off inside or with the other person. And then we create these incredible entangled knots. And we hurt each other a lot. And for women, I think this is why your series this summit is so important, to bring this relational piece in, because I feel with women, we are so absorbed with relationships. And it's in our bones, it's in our nature, it's in our bodies. We have a very keen sense of our interconnectedness right from the get-go, because we birth babies, we bring life into this world. So we have to relate the whole time. Whereas men, they have often, their hunter instinct and they go forward and they focus and they get their kill and they do their job. But we have to work together as women from the very beginning. And so you probably have experienced it too, that women often talk about their relationships. It's the theme in high school, and it's the theme in groups, in spiritual groups, in therapy groups. We have a lot of investment in our relationships, and we have incredible joy through it, and we have so much pain through it as well. So, yeah.
Are we talking here about, relationships with our significant others, or are we talking about relationships with family or
all relationships? I think we can pretty much, all relationships is like we get entangled with our girlfriends, we get entangled with our partners, we have our families, and I see so many women, they get so obsessed about, how this person treated me, this wasn't right. And they think about it and they write letters about it that they then burn, and they practice forgiveness, and then this thing is again there in the room and they don't know what to do. And we are busy with relationships, and there is a very important reason for us. Our awakening goes through to relate. We can't do it on the mountaintop. That's the male way. So many of the spiritual traditions have taught a very male-centered way that isn't working for women.
That makes so much sense. Oh my goodness. I've never thought of it like that. When we're obsessed with the fine details of everything that has gone wrong in the day or whatever. So, I mean, there's many things I could ask here. I mean, I'm curious to know why we focus on the bad things and we don't focus on the good things. But I'm also really drawn to this, what you've just thrown in here, which I've never thought of. Truthfully, I've never thought of, because, you know, I know that like Christ and
Yes.
things like that, you know, these big figures are male and everything, but I tend to think of like the Buddha as being, and I'm not particularly Buddhist, but I have done a lot of Buddhism meditation in my life. But I tend to think that there must be some that isn't gender specific, or yeah. So
well, I discovered it actually when I was in the cave. I'm talking about the Mary Magdalene many years ago, and I was shown it's almost an opposite way of awakening for the women. It has to go down and in and into relationship. That's where we truly, when we can call it, enlighten or awaken fully. And it has to go through the embodiment of it. This is not taught in the more transcendent oriented spiritual teachings and in the religions. This is what we are right now doing. We are educating the women around that the path for the woman to health in a healthy way, to embody the feminine, is through engaging in relations in a new way, but also through her body and through going down and in.
so what does that really mean? I mean, how do we start to do that? I love it that it's embodied, it's in the body. I love that, okay, because I do feel that we tend to forget about the body when we talk about spirituality. So I really love this, and I'm so aware that I've done that, and that my body contains such wisdom that I'm beginning to hear it whisper to me, but I don't have the tools to actually connect with it very powerfully. So how can, what, you know, going in and down, what does that mean?
Well, let's take something really simple. When we both just, and I invite everybody to do that, when we just both breathe into our belly and you let come out a breath, open your mouth and just breathe out like, ah, with a sound, yeah?
Okay.
And just a couple of times, and feel your weight on the chair, and the chair is connected to the earth. And you bring your awareness more down, that you're held from below. You cannot fall from the earth. And you can feel this holding that is given. Just the simple way can connect you down. Can you
It
feel a
feels,
little bit of that?
yeah, yeah.
And then when you relate to others, it's not so much you relating to another outside, it's more a relating with. So we're relating with our breath right now, we're relating with our belly, where we often don't want to go to the belly because it has so many emotions stored up. And we're relating with the ground, and we're dropping down. And then in that moment, we're also, you and I, and with everybody else who's sitting here with us, we're relating with a whole field that is very alive here between us. And there is when you call it an energy, but I would even call it's that field of love in which we're sitting right now. And all we're doing is to bring our awareness a little lower. For women, it's actually dangerous to go up because it leads to checkout and it leads to a lot of anxiety. And in that moment, what happens is your triggers get stirred up so much in relationship. When you live up there, you cannot resolve anything from there. But when you drop down and you drop more into the ground of your beingness and the connectedness, in that moment your heart and my heart can be more in resonance. And in that moment we can enjoy being together, but we also can relate with difficulties more easily because we're not
I,
so identified.
yeah, I have a really strong image, which is like we're roots that are
Yes,
coming out of the earth, and
yes,
then so it goes down and then connects to a bigger system. We're all a
yes,
root and a root, so you're a root and everybody else is a root
yeah,
coming out of the earth. And it's like that sense of being held, and the security, the
yes,
sense of security that comes
yes,
with that is incredible. Just
yeah,
following what you just said then,
yeah.
not doing some big practice, just that little tiny thing.
It's I searched long and hard to find the most simple and direct ways. And this is one of them that I realized, my goodness, the level we need as women, especially, we need the sense of safety. But how do you feel safe in a world where one person can say something mean and you hurt, or one person can punch you? Because it's it's not safe in the world per se. So where do we find the sense of safety? And it's this feeling held, and the root that you describe, it roots you down, and then there's this connectedness. And first then the heart, the flower of the heart just opens because you're feeling safe. You have something underneath you that holds you.
Mm. I was actually going to ask you about that, and maybe you've already answered it, because when we open the heart, um, there we get a sense of real vulnerability,
Yes.
and with that we can move into fear. So we feel like, oh, I need to, I'm told that I should open my heart and I should
Yeah.
be more vulnerable, but actually I just feel too exposed. I feel like I'm just opening myself to getting hurt.
Yeah.
So kind of like punishing yourself as well. So
Yeah.
so how can we, so that one activity helps with that. Is there anything else that we can do that
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
helps us?
Yeah. I'm so glad you're bringing this up. This word vulnerability is one of my favorites. And it's this in spirituality, there's often this drive, like I have to open my heart, and this pressure. And then you open your heart and you feel like you're going naked onto the street, and something doesn't really work. So of course, only if I open my heart, can I really love, and can I truly be in relationship with you in a deeper way. But at the same time, I make myself vulnerable to being hurt. So this seems like a conundrum, right? And what cuts through this conundrum is basically that you drop down and you feel held by something that's far bigger, so that you are I'm not making my safety dependent on your behavior. I'm resting in that being held. That's one thing.
Mm.
Then the other thing is to start befriending the places that are hurt inside, because in relationship we bring up, you probably noticed this in yourself, and I noticed this, there's like somebody says the wrong thing, and there that flare comes up, and ouch, it hurts in the heart. Or somebody betrays you, and so there is this place where we, oh my God, I'm hurt again, I must put my walls up. And then we go into the mind and try to figure it out. And it becomes this terrible headache and agonizing pain underneath. So instead of doing that, what you can do is really simple: to turn towards that pain, that ache, and just give it some breath. Give it some loving kindness, like, may I take good care of this pain. Letting yourself feel this pain, because really all pain goes back to a heartbreak. It goes back to something inside there that was deeply hurt. And then we run away from it. And to the degree I run away from my pain, is to the degree I run away from love and from you, from relationships. So when I say I'm going to turn to it, then what happens is I can say, let me befriend this pain, let me feel it. You are held, you're big enough to breathe into it, to let the pain wash through. And what happens in my experience, it allows me to experience far more love, but also it allows me to be in relationship with you even when you are not gonna, when sometimes you will hurt me.
Mm. So where this was coming through to me just when you were saying this, where does anger, when is it okay to express those kind of emotions? Because I mean, it sounds, what you're saying, it sounds like wonderful, but by doing these kind of practices I should be able to be calm and be loving and everything. But then, you know, is there a place for expressing anger? How do we deal with situations that we totally disagree with?
Yes. I'm like I said, I love your questions. There's this misconception that in spiritual, we all of a sudden you become so spiritual and so holy and so calm. That's not spirituality. That's being fake. So this anger piece is like, for women especially, is so dangerous because we were called bitches, and we were shunned when we were angry. And so our anger, in my experience, it carries tremendous power. So when I have anger, what do I do with it? I don't need to dump it on you. I don't need to tell you you're bad and you're this. This is not the right way. But I also don't need to swallow it and let me be eaten up by it and become depressed because of that. Rather, what I can do is harness its life energy. There is enormous power in our anger. When I'm breathing into that anger, when I say I welcome my anger, I allow myself to feel it, to dance it, to move with it, and then come to you and say, in my relationship, to be authentic, I can simply say, I'm feeling really, really angry right now.
And so you've expressed it physically in your body instead of holding it in.
Sometimes you need to do that. And it's more than just expressing, it's learning to be present with my anger, to see it as a life energy that you want to harness. It's the feminine power that you want to harness it. And we have suppressed it, and therefore we become depressed. So and then in relationships, it doesn't mean I have to tell you, and it's because of you that I'm angry. No, I just can say simply, I feel really angry right now. Breathe. Let it stand there. In that moment, I show up real with you. You know exactly where I am. But I'm not cutting off from you because of that. I'm not turning away. It actually can lead us into it can help us to heal our hearts with each other by saying, you get to be human, I get to be human, and we're not going to trash each other. We have respect, but I am using it to fully awaken, to fully embody my feminine power.
Mm. Gosh, I have so many questions.
It's it's so juicy, isn't it, that theme?
Yes, and the whole thing is juicy because of the awareness that we are always in relationships, and it seems like we actually probably all of us search out relationships that are going to trigger us, that are going to catapult us into this emotional turmoil.
Yes, in order to bring this up, because it's like we're doing each other a favor. I mean, it's we can have the most wonderful relationships and it's all flowing and all nice, great. But then there comes this moment where you say something and I say something, and then suddenly we are talking like this, and then the triggers start flying. And then the anger comes and the pain comes and then the fear comes and everything starts marching into the room between us. So that's the moment, that's actually the invitation for us to truly awaken together, to truly welcome our whole humanity and to welcome in all these pieces, especially in ourselves. Like if you have a meditation practice, it's like really saying yes to the trigger. Yes. This word yes helps a lot. Yes, I feel uncomfortable. Yes, I want to run away. Yes. And in that moment, it gives you it builds that resilience and the courage to actually meet this trigger, get curious, get in there and say like, wow, how does it feel in my body, this emotion? How does it play? And to get down and in with it, it doesn't mean you get lost in it, and it doesn't mean you psychoanalyze it. You just let yourself feel it and breathe into it. And because you as my friend just did me a favor, then all my stuff came up.
Yes, that's the thing, isn't it? We want to blame it on the other person, but actually we should be saying, yes, thank you, because now I can actually deal with this stuff.
Yes. Yeah, because it's underneath, it's in our consciousness, it's in our bodies. And what love always wants to do is to help it to completely resolve and to heal. It wants to heal our hearts. We are so scarred in our hearts. Now, if we just put some nice fluffy pink spirituality around it, and we only have nice relationships, never will that be touched. And so that you're just making a fluffy wall instead of a hard wall. But somebody who loves you enough to be close to you, to get under my skin or your skin, and there is a basis of trust or of love or of respect, when that stuff comes up, it's like the heart says, I want to free myself. I want to breathe freely again. I want to be able to be vulnerable again. I want to love again. And this must come up. And the other thing is also our relationship can first then become real. Because how are we going to be with this together?
Yeah. Yes. And what I love about it as well, what you're sharing, is that the opposite model is to say, I don't like this, pull back. I don't like this, pull back, pull back, pull back. Until either you're moaning all the time with the few people who are left. I've been there. I've been that person who moans. Okay.
Yes.
So you're either doing that, or you're just isolating yourself to such an extent that's not what we're here for. I mean, that's so limiting your own experience. And it's almost like, well, I was going to say it's like retreating into, like I had a vision of nuns, okay, who lock themselves away for their entire life. But then I was reminded that anything that I know about them, like anything I've seen in the media or whatever, is that they also have conflictual relationships within that. Yes. We can't even avoid it,
No, you cannot get around it. And that is I think that's the beauty of really of the women, that we wake up through relationships. We are in relationships, whether with the animals or with the trees. And of course, the tree doesn't quite speak back to you and say things that are not nice. And you can hide, of course. But how about you and I, we just get onto the playfield together and say, okay, let's rub our hands together and see how we do with each other when the first hiccup comes, when the first challenge comes, and how can we navigate it in such a way that it actually enlivens us, that it makes us feel even like this is where love becomes so real with each other. Or maybe we help each other to heal the heart of, ancient wounding. Maybe we help each other just to understand um, that you have a different world experience and I have a different one, and how do we find a bridge? It's that willingness to get into the playfield with each other, the courage. And I think that's the only way that we can not only heal the heart of relationships but also we help heal ourselves, and we help this world, because everything is messed up partly because we have absolutely no clue how to be in relationship with each other in a more loving and present way.
Yes. Oh my goodness, what you're saying, it's just my mind is blowing up, okay, because
It's exciting.
yeah, it really is. We really don't have enough time to go into it, but I just really want to feed this in and reflect it back, because it's also about everything you've talked about in relationship to other people. There's also, the relationship we have with ourselves, because we like to think of ourselves as one, but we all know that we talk to ourselves in many guises in our heads, and so when we're on the healing path or the spiritual path or the energy aware path or whatever it is, and we're going along and things are going great and we're feeling good, it's exactly the same as what you're saying about being in relationship with somebody else and it's all going good, and then something goes wrong. And what I see time and time again is people pulling back instead of instead of saying the yes and doing what you've been talking about. It's pulling back and judging themselves as failing, wrong, not ready, whatever it is that they want to tell themselves. And so the progress that they can make, or the expansion or the opening or whatever it is, just within themselves, is delayed.
Is limited and delayed. You're not growing. You don't grow into a tree because you're not growing into who you are. It's like you're cutting off. But what you're saying is like the same relationship we have outside is in us. It's like you have a table and there's many guests inside of your castle. I liken it to say that way. And you relating maybe to the nice part of you, the pretty part of you, you say, that's wonderful. And then comes the part that says like, well, I screw up all the time. I can't do this. I feel worthless. I feel I'm nothing. Nobody likes me. That story. And you try to fix that story with everything. Well, how about what I found is much better? The way is to say, okay, I have someone in my queendom who feels worthless, who feels homeless, who feels left out, who is abandoned, who's sad. How then would I relate to someone like that in the world? But also, how then would I relate as a benevolent queen to this one who's alone, who's left out? Would I say you should be different? That's violence. Would I just cast them to the side? That's brutality. Would I beat them up? Cruel. Maybe I just come to you to this part and say, I really see you and I'm there with you. I'm there. And this is the presencing, the love that says, I'm there, I see you, I hear you, and tell me what's happening for you. And I'm not here to fix you, I'm here to be with you totally. With my love and with my presence, I hold you. So it's like I become the earth then that holds that part in me that feels in need, or even the judger, you can engage with the judger too, like saying, okay, thanks for your final judgment that I should go into prison. And then you can tell him, like, okay, you can have a place at the table, but we ain't gonna take over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Just so much. There's so much possibility within this. Just wonderful, really wonderful. I know that I've got tons of more questions, but I know
I
that
know it's
we,
such a rich field, and it's so much. There's so much in there.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. So I know you've got something that is fantastic to share with people. So I'd love it if you would tell us about that now.
Well, one thing is I love bringing women into to the Mary Magdalena for it's a very deep retreat for women, and in southern France it's once a year. It's very special. And the other thing is, I teach a lot of retreats in Europe, and you can look up on my website. I usually go by invitation, where somebody invites me, and I also teach, which I love that work. Is I train healers and teachers and therapists. It's called Transforming Lives Training, so that we can really all together be on the front lines and make a difference in this shaken, beautiful world of ours.
Mm, yes, really important work. And you've got a meditation to share with people?
Yes, that's called You Are Loved. And I think it's just a treat, especially for the heart that needs much more love than we often tend to feel. And it's a very simple, I think, beautiful meditation that people say they love. And it's just remembering how much you are truly loved in the midst of all this craziness that might be going on in your life.
Mm, mm. So the link to the meditation is directly beneath this video. So everyone, make sure that you get hold of it, do the meditation, okay? And then we would love to hear from you, Nicola and myself. We'd both love to hear, when you did the meditation, what was the experience like for you? Do you have any questions about it? And what did you love about what we've been talking about today? Because truly, it is still blowing my mind. I feel like I've got a sort of a Roman candle firework going off inside.
I love that image. It's like the new year, ta-ta.
It is like that. And then I'm thinking, hang on, I need to get that root going down into the ground.
Yeah,
That's
it.
yeah. So, what happens to you, when you've been listening to what we've been talking about? Do you feel excited about the possibilities I do? Like I say, you can contact Nicola, you can contact me. And if you contact me, I'll forward it to Nicola as well. So, make sure you do, because we really want to get this work out into the world, and to make sure that people really feel it and understand it, and come
Practice,
working with
live
it.
it. Yeah, that's it. And
Yeah.
live it in or all the relationships we happen to encounter in our lives. And yeah, and also to be able to just walk with a blessing, leave a trail of blessing behind, that a blessing that's real.
Yeah. Yes. And actually, I'm just prompted to say, and if you feel angry, about anything that we've said, now's the time to express it. Email.
Don't email me. But it's fine. I'm totally open. It's actually, I'm about being authentic. That's
Yeah.
and
Yes. And to be honest, I know that nobody's going to feel anger from what we've been talking about. I think what's exciting is the potential to work with those dynamics of the difficult relationships,
yes.
that we find so hard, so we've got new tools now, new ways forward. So
And that's just a little taste, but I'm so grateful for you, Alison, that you invited me to share a little bit, and I loved your questions, and I can see how much further we could just go with each other.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So Yeah, well, thank you so much, Nicola, for coming along and just opening the door a little bit on this amazing possibility and giving us those simple things that we can do. Really important to have those, and knowing that there's a vastness to explore here that is really empowering and loving and healing, and about having those great relationships with people that are authentic, because that's what we want.
Yes, beautiful. Thank
So
you.
thank you so much, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Yeah, and email us if we want to hear from you, so email us.
Thank
Okay,
you
bye.
so much. Bye bye.